All right, again, we're considering a factoring problem, and notice that this problem has three terms, so it's a trinomial. But also notice that it has a leading coefficient that's negative, and also notice that these probably have a greatest common factor. So anytime you're factoring, let me say this, anytime you're factoring any problem, always try to factor out the greatest common factor first, and you don't want the first term to be negative. So in this case, as I look at it, it looks like I could take out a 3 from every single one of these. So I'm going to take out a negative 3 because I want to get rid of the negative and also want to factor out the greatest common factor. So anyway, if I factor out a negative 3, this becomes 6x squared minus 7x minus 20. And I can double check this by saying this times this is that, this times this is that, this times this is that. And it's good to double check your signs and everything and make sure that that actually works out. This is where a lot of mistakes are made by just not double checking all of those different things. So anyway, I've checked that. Then what you want to do is come over here and set this up. And notice in this case, I'm putting two sets of parentheses because I realize it could be 6x and 1x, or it could be 2x and 3x here to multiply to get 6x squared. I'm not sure which one it's going to be right now. So I set that up. So the first terms have to multiply together to be this first term. So it could be this times this is that, or this times this is that. The next thing I need to do is set up 20 over here because what goes in the second slots here, and here, or here and here has to multiply to be 20. So it has to multiply to be 20, and when I do all the other multiplication and addition, it's got to add to be negative 7. So I'm going to check some things out here. Of course, it could be 1 and 20 multiplies to be 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. So these are the possibilities, of course, with various signs. And if it has to multiply to be negative 20, one of these is going to be positive and one is going to be negative. So it's almost never 1 and 20, so I don't usually check those things first. In this situation, I'm looking at it, maybe I pick the 4 and the 5. If you put 4 here and 5 here, and I'm just checking that by multiplying in my head, you might actually want to multiply it out in fact. But if I have 4 and 5 here, that's not going to work out. It's going to be too big. If I put the 5 here and the 4 here, that doesn't work. I'm just mentally checking that by multiplying using the FOIL method. So I'm going to try that down here. Notice if I put negative 5 here and 4 here, when I say I'm multiplying, so I'm multiplying this times this to see that it is negative 20, and it is. And I'm multiplying this times this to see that it is in fact 6x squared, and it is. And then I'm multiplying here and here to get 8x, and there to get negative 15x. And of course that adds to be negative 7, which is the middle term. So this does work. So this is called the guess and check method. So I was guessing and checking and substituting some numbers in and doing the multiplication to see that it actually works. So we call it guess and check because we're guessing some numbers here and then we're doing the multiplication to see that it does in fact work. So this is going to be the final factorization form for this up here.